Welcome to Good News for a Change, a video and audio podcast on the Gospel with Father Constantine Lazarakis of the Dormition of the Virgin Mary Greek Orthodox Church of the Hamptons in Southampton, New York. In this episode, the Sunday of All Saints.
A generation that had a living faith, like an inextinguishable faith, like a certainty about God, an intimacy with God, a commonness with God. Like for Christalla, being an Orthodox Christian wasn't a Sunday thing. It wasn't like when you have a baptism or a wedding or a memorial thing. It was a wake up in the morning, I'm an Orthodox Christian and it means everything. Go to bed at night, I'm an Orthodox Christian and it means everything. And every minute in between every single day, I'm spending in companionship with God. She was kind of a generation that had a kind of faith like that, right? And I was thinking about Jeff as I walked over to his grave, and I thought, how did Jeff have that spirit even though he's part of my generation? Because if you knew Jeff, he wouldn't sit and talk to you profoundly about the procession of the Holy Spirit from the Father, or the consecration of the Eucharist, or the energies and the essences of God. But Jeff walked with the Spirit of God alive in him. Like when he just smiled at you, or shook your hand, or said hi to you, or if you got to spend some time with him, you caught that vivifying energy that was so common in Christalla's generation. And then I was leaving Montauk, and I had about an hour. So I said, you know what, I'll sit down and I'll look at the gospel reading for Sunday, and I'll start working on my sermon. And then I looked and I said, wait, this Sunday is the Sunday of All Saints. And it occurred to me that Christalla and Jeff, both in their own ways, pursued sanctity, thirsted for God, longed to be in companionship with God, and loved to share His presence. And here we have this day that reminds us that holiness isn't a call. Mother Theresa said this, by the way. Holiness is not a call of the select few. It's not St. Constantine who's supposed to be a saint and nobody else. It's not St. Nicholas, right? It's not the Virgin Mary who's called to be a saint and nobody else. No. Sanctity is the humble calling of every human being God ever created. He called Kula to be a saint. He called Marina to be a saint. He's calling Polly to be a saint. He's calling Tony to be a saint. The saints, these are just a handful of them that we remember. But the saints are those who devoted their life to God. The saints are those who brought God to us. So we are called to devote our lives to God and to share God with one another. Like when I spent time with Jeff, I felt like I was in God's presence because of the warmth that came off of him, because of the energy that emanated from him, right? And when we read this morning's gospel reading, Jesus says, Whoever denies me before the world, I'll deny that person before my Father. So when the moment of judgment comes, and it's going to come, whoever denies me before everybody else, I'm going to deny that person before my Father. But whoever, conversely, confesses me before the world, shares my gospel with the world, is a beacon of my love in the world, that person I will stand by on Judgment Day. That person I will vouch for on Judgment Day. Isn't that a call to sanctity for all of us? That like Christalla and Jeff, we can't deny our faith. And like Christalla and Jeff, we have to celebrate it, and we have to share it, and we have to live by it. That's what we got to do. We got to be all the time Orthodox Christians. We got to wake up in the morning and make the sign of the cross. We need to be in companionship with God from the time we wake up until the time we go to sleep. We live in a faithless generation. You remember that word of Jesus's in the God? Oh, faithless generation. How long must I endure with you? That's the generation we live in. Read the recent Pew Research. Read the recent Pew Research. Even within the Orthodox Church, the retention of the faithful, almost as bad as 50%. Jeff and Christalla tried so hard to give faith to us, but we have to take hold of it for ourselves. If we only show up here periodically when we feel about it, if we don't know the content of the gospel, if we aren't living lives of prayer, we have to ask ourselves, am I denying Christ? Or am I confessing Christ with my life, with the way I interact with other people? If we're serious about who we are, and if we're serious about God, and if we believe that God became a human being for our salvation, on All Saints' Day, we need to say, am I pursuing sanctity? Am I doing everything I can to imbue this sacred trust of faith to my children, to my spouse, to my brothers and sisters, to my neighbors? Because All Saints isn't the day when we say, hey, we're all saints. All Saints is the day when we say, hey, we're all called to be saints. And that's a cliffhanger. Will we answer the call? That's what we have to do. So on All Saints, let us all rededicate ourselves to a life of sanctity. Thank you for your attention. May God continue to bless and keep each and every one.
You've been listening to Good News for a Change, a video and audio podcast on the Sunday Gospel with Father Constantine Lazarakis. To hear more, visit the Orthodox Christian Network at myocn.net. That's myocn.net.